All right. Still no sound, huh? Still no sound? Hang on. End and start again. All right. How about now? Now we can. Okay, good. Sorry. Completely forgot I'd put my microphone away. Okay, let's get back into this. Weak volume, huh? Let's see if I can adjust my volume a little bit. Where is it? Where is it? Where's my adjustments? I don't know. Can you guys hear me okay? How about now? Is that good? I'll talk loud. Loud and clear here. Okay, good. All right, so let me start all over again. I was on a rant and you guys didn't missed it. So let's do this again. So, all right. Sorry about all that confusion there. So what I was saying, I started a few minutes early thinking, and here I am late because I forgot to hook my microphone back up. But anyway, we're good. Hopefully we're good now. I'm going to stay down here and make sure. Okay, good. All right. Where was I? Oh, so again, this is a weekly live broadcast. Almost every Thursday night, 7 o'clock Central, I'm here. Unless something gets in the way. Next week, I will not be on live broadcast. More than likely, I'm going on vacation with the family. We're going to be away. So probably will not get a live broadcast out next week. I don't have a topic planned out. This is just a weekly time for us to interact with each other. I'm going to do my best to respond to all the chats in the that come in during the live broadcast itself. Don't get hateful with anybody. Don't get rude. Be polite. Be family friendly. That's all I ask, because we will have to kick you out if you start cussing or calling people names. We can have friendly debates and differences of opinions. We don't have to hate each other for it. So, all right. Where was I going with that? Sorry about that. Okay, so because I got vacation, I had everything packed away and thought, getting all my stuff together. I didn't even think about getting the microphone back out for the live broadcast. So anyway, all right. So because I started a little bit early tonight, but didn't get to it early. Sorry about that, because I am packing up. I'm leaving tomorrow for vacation, so I'm probably going to end this one a little short tonight. We'll see how it goes. But let's get into it so we don't delay anymore. So, hey, Sillamore, good to see you. And it says, hello from North Central Arkansas. Been missing the broadcast for weeks. My mom, 84, fell, broke 6 ribs, punctured a lung. So I've been a little busy lately. Hope all is well. And I should have said, yes, she's improving. Yeah, thanks for adding that part. I was going to ask. Yeah, prayers for her. Man, I'm sorry to hear that. That's terrible. So, yeah, you don't have to make excuses. That definitely takes priority over joining a live broadcast with me. So hopefully she is doing much, much better, and prayers that she continues to improve. Excuse me. I talked too much there. All right. Charles D. Smith says, hey, Chris, I recently bought quail. They have like a mohawk on their head. Are they Coturnics or what breed is it? Sounds like bob whites to me, but it's hard to say without seeing a picture. But yeah, you look up bob white quail and see if they match that description. That sounds like what it is to me. Jeff says, greetings from Central Missouri. Good to see you, Jeff. Good to see you, Brad. Robert Hermson. Ed got bait. Good to see you guys. Austin. Okay, we got a whole bunch of Yeppers, you're good. Sounds bad. There we go. Let's get through that. So there we go. Hey, my Shire's here. Says, hey, Chris. Again, thanks so much for a great Quail Con. Can't wait to have you back next year. I can't wait to be back next year. It was my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. I felt very honored to be there, and you guys were great hosts. Thanks for putting up with me for the weekend. I appreciate that so much. All right. Robin says, away, hum. I think I've been there. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. I lost track. T-Disc Farmer says hello to everyone. Hello to you. Kenneth, does quail poop stink? Yeah. Yeah, it does. It's not so bad if it's as long as you can keep it dry. If it gets wet, it's a different story altogether. But yeah, as long as you can keep it dry, it's really not that bad. If it gets wet, it's pretty rough. It's pretty bad. Hey, Verna's here. Good to see you, Verna. Only have to add the water bucket, and my new breeder cages will be set up. I want to thank all that helped to give me this cage system. And love seeing you in person. Thanks, Verna. And congratulations on that, by the way. You deserved it. If you don't know, Verna won a Winona Ranch quail cage, big stacking cage at Quail Con. So I don't guess she won it. Everybody put in donations for her to get that. I can't take credit for that. I wasn't actually part of that, but well-deserved congratulations to you, and I'm glad to hear it went well. And I, too, enjoyed meeting you in person as well. Let's see. Lisa, thanks for the Quail Con broadcast. Looked like fun. Yeah, it was. It was a great time. We had a lot of fun there. Hopefully, those of you that didn't make it this year will be able to make it next year. And stay tuned. I think I saw Zach's video earlier today that he is going to be making an announcement about Quail Con on his broadcast on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what you said. Sunday, 7 o'clock, I think it is. I can't remember what time it is now, Zach. You're going to have to tell everybody. But I believe you said you were going to be making some announcements on what's going to change about next year's Quail Con. So Jupiter says, hope you and the missus have a good vacation, Chris. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Kevin says, great video from Quail Con. Do you have any issues with eating eggs? Do you know of any poultry processing in Warrensburg, Missouri area? I don't right offhand know of any poultry processing there. You'd have to look around. I'm sorry, I don't even know any poultry processors. I just process my own poultry, so I don't really know any of them. But do quail have issues with eating eggs? Okay, I read that question wrong. My quail have never had an issue with eating eggs. I have heard from a few people that their quail started to eat some eggs, but I've never had an issue with my birds eating their eggs. Who's that? Austin from Eastern North Carolina. Good to see you. T-Disc Farmer says their poo smells like a zoo, like a gamey, gooey, good kind of zoo smell. Okay, I guess it does, kind of, yeah. Jesse Mills, good evening to you. Great meeting you this weekend. It was great meeting you too. Helen, good morning from Australia. Man, joining us all the way from Australia. Thanks for joining us. Where are we at here? Manuel. Why do my Coturnix quail brown attacks my Texas A&M? Sounds like they're racist, but probably not. Who knows? I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of different reasons why quail fight. The number one reason is if you're introduced two different sets of birds to each other. Quail have a pecking order, kind of like chickens do too. Some chickens are worse about it than others. Some birds are worse about it than others. I'm kind of surprised that it's the brown birds attacking the white birds. When I had white A&Ms, I don't think they're actually A&Ms. They're just white quail. They were more aggressive than any of my other birds were. But, like Zach, I talked to him this weekend about that. He says his white birds, he never has problems with them fighting. So, they're all different. It could be sometimes you'll get fighting when birds first come of age, even if they've been together forever. When they first come of, like sexual maturity, they'll get aggressive with each other and they'll start fighting. Sometimes you'll get problems with your hens. You'll get an aggressive hen that fights off. Or sometimes you'll get roosters that are just overeager breeders, and that can cause some aggression in your birds to fight, fighting back with him to keep him away from them. So there's a lot of different reasons why that could be happening. I don't know. You didn't say if you just, did you just recently get one of those sets of birds and put them together? Because if you did, that's probably what's happening. They're establishing their pecking order. Most of the time they'll get over it, but sometimes you have to call a bird or two if there's one being a jerk. All right, Ed Got Bait says, Chris, thanks for the snippets of video from Quail Con. Hey, you're absolutely welcome. Where are we at here? Jesse and Zach. Okay, there we go. Yep, Sunday at 7 p.m. That's from Zach. Thank you. I knew that. I just wanted to make sure I was right. The Tej says, hey, everyone, I just hatched my first Coturnix quail. They started hatching yesterday, about 50 so far, and still counting. I'm excited to start my quail journey. Fantastic. Congratulations on that. Hopefully they're doing very well. I'm sure they are. And, you keep that up. You're going to have more quail and you know what to do within no time. All right. Raymond says, hey, Chris, is it rare that I had a female rabbit deliver 2 weeks early and she had one baby and it had hair? Yeah, that's pretty rare. It's not unheard of for them to do that, especially first-time moms. Sometimes there's just some weird things that go on with first-time moms. But, yeah, that is pretty rare for that to happen. I wouldn't worry about it too much. I'd just breed her again. And if she has continued issues like that where she's only having one baby, she's having them really early, she's having them late, or they look deformed, whatever, I'd change her out for a new rabbit. But just one time, it's nothing to worry about. All right, Alori says, I missed 4 lives. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But hey, you're back now, so thanks for coming back and joining us again. Grafted Branch Homestead, first time joining. Excited to be here. Awesome. Thank you for joining in. We appreciate it. Yeah, T-Dis Farmer likes my stupid jokes. He laughs at my racist quail joke. Grafted Branch Homestead. I'm just thinking of jokes, but they'd probably not be understood and be taken wrong, so I won't say them. All right, Grafted Branch Homestead. Thinking about getting into quail and excited here at our urban farm in New Mexico. Awesome. Yeah, Ed got bait like my joke too. Yeah, awesome, Grafted Branch. I highly suggest it. I think quail are a fantastic addition to a homestead. Man, they're just incredibly reproductive. You can just, it's incredible how many quail you can raise up in a very, very small space. So I think it's a great option. Sage and Stone says, Chris, what editing software do you use, and does it come with licensed music? No, it does not. I use Premiere Pro. That's what I use to edit. I do a little bit of photography and a little bit of videography on the side. I have a side business that does that. So I use Adobe products, Photoshop, Lightroom, and Adobe Premiere. For music licensing, I would suggest something like Epidemic Sound or Soundstripe, or there's another one out there, a famous one. Anyway, they get unlimited music. I believe Epidemic Sound offers like unlimited licensing, so you can use the music like however you want to, whether it's on YouTube or whatever platform, or even I think for commercial. I'm not sure on that. You'll have to look into their licensing agreement. But no, it does not come with the editing software. That's something you have to do extra. Now, there is a lot of music out there that is common license, so you can use it. YouTube has a fairly decent music library. The only problem with that is everybody's using, that too. So you may end up with the same song that somebody else has, but it's free. So now some of them have, like, you have to put for you to use the song in your video, you're going to have to give credit to the author, like put it on your description or your video or something like that. But I don't know that that's a big issue. All right, Plain Speaker says, what do you suggest for a grow out pen or tractor? I live in the woods and don't have much grass. Okay, so if you're talking about, I'm assuming for rabbits, for a grow out pen. You could do it a lot. If you want to do a tractor, you definitely can. I don't think it would need to be incredibly big. Something like what I use for my chicken tractor would probably work pretty well for that. In fact, that's probably bigger than you need, honestly, for a small grow out pen. It depends on how many rabbits you're planning on raising. But if you're talking about just a litter of rabbits to grow out, I keep them in my regular rabbit cages that are 30 inches by 36 inches, and they're 24 inches tall. I'll keep a whole litter in those. Now, usually if it's a big litter, like 10, I'll split them into 2 cages. So there's 5 in each one, but you're only growing them out like 8 to 10 weeks, something like that. So it's fine. It works pretty well. Now, if you wanted to do a tractor with the rabbits, I would suggest making sure you put wire on the bottom of the tractor to keep anything from digging underneath and getting to your rabbits. As far as not much grass, you're going to have to feed them pellets probably. Rabbits don't really eat grass necessarily. They tend to eat things like plantain and all the little things that grow in grass, henbit and clover and all that kind of stuff. So if you have that stuff around, they could definitely eat it. One thing I will say is that rabbits' digestive system's pretty sensitive to change. So if you've had them on pellets, like you're feeding the mother rabbit pellets and they're in with the mother, you don't want to just take them out and put them on grass and let them just eat to their heart's content. It could definitely lead to some problems like diarrhea and even death. So you want to introduce them to that stuff pretty slowly. I don't know if that answers your question, but hopefully that gives you the information you were looking for. If not, ask it again another way. I'll get to it in a second. All right, Jay Moore says, just separated extra males from 5-week-olds. 5-week-olds be to grow out. Let me read that again. Just separated extra males from 5-week-olds to grow out, I guess is what you're saying. Got way too many males in the batch. Yeah, that happens quite frequently. Everybody's always trying to get rid of their males. Bill says, it was really good to meet you. It was just funny that we had to go all the way to Ohio to do it when we live so close to each other. Yeah, it is funny. I can't remember where you live. I know you told me, and I know it's not very far from me, but I can't remember exactly where you live. But you're right. It is funny. Like I said, my sister's mother and father-in-law, so her in-laws, her husband's mother and father, live right across the street from me, just on the corner. And I hardly ever see them unless we go to a big family gathering or something like that. Like they're going on vacation with us. but I hardly ever see them. They live right across the street. It's just funny how that works. All right, Jordan says we had to downsize our quail for now. Feed is just too expensive, down to 15 from 60. Yeah, I understand that problem for sure. Luckily, our feed prices have increased a little, but not a lot. So we're looking at maybe $1 or $2 more per 50-pound bag, but still it adds up. I get it. I do. All right, Katrina. Where we at here? Katrina says, I'm late. Hi to everyone in Gilroy, California. I hope people had fun at Quail Con. And a question, if rabbits eat most of their food at night, why feed in the morning instead of the evening? It doesn't really matter. You can feed either way you want to. I feed in the morning because it works out better for my schedule. It's easier for me. Now, they do tend to eat a lot in the morning when I feed them. But, if you want to feed them at night instead, feed them at night. It's fine. It doesn't really matter when you feed them. Just as long as you give them enough to last them 24 hours. Hopefully that makes sense. The only reason I do it in the mornings is because it works out better for my schedule to go out and get all that stuff done first thing in the morning, then head off to work and get my other stuff done. Sillamore says, y'all give Chris a thumbs up. Thank you, Sillamore. I appreciate that. Yeah, if you do, enjoy these videos, if you enjoy the time we spend together, go ahead and hit the thumbs up down there. You may have to exit out if you're on your cell phone, hit the thumbs up and come back in. But it does help to get this video out to more people, helps the algorithm know that you guys are enjoying it, and it does support me just a little bit. Grafted Ranch says, do you need a permit to raise quail in the city? That's going to depend highly on your city. Most cities, no, you don't need a permit. Now, I will say that unless you're raising a native bird like a bobwhite or something like that, those generally require a permit from the conservation department or whatever it's called in wildlife department in your state, whatever it is, because they're a native bird, especially if you plan on releasing them or something like that. But Coturnix quail are not a native bird to the United States. So as long as you're in the United States, you don't need a permit to raise them. Your city, however, may have certain codes that require, certain permits to have poultry on your property or whatever. So you're going to have to look into that. I can't give you specifics on, what every city in the country or every state in the country has as far as permits and requirements and all those kinds of things. But generally, you're okay not to do it, not to have a permit. Our city code here does not have quail listed in it anywhere. If you have chickens, you're supposed to have a permit to raise your chickens, but they don't strictly enforce that unless somebody complains and there's a reason for them to come out anyway. So it's not like they have somebody driving around looking for people to have chickens and then checking on their permits. It's not really a big concern for them. If you threw a rooster out there, I guarantee they're going to show up. If somebody's going to complain, they're going to show up. They're going to want to know your permit, and you're not allowed to have roosters in town. Quail kind of get like under the radar. So technically, maybe I'm supposed to have a permit, but it's not listed in the code. Nobody's ever come to me in, the city, the animal enforcement had to go to my neighbor's house because she had goats and somebody complained. They made her get rid of the goats. They saw my setup. They never came and talked to me about it. So I guess I'm okay. Hey, Terry from Coturnix Corner is here. Terry, I hope you're still feeling better. I hope you're still mending and doing well. He says, hey, Chris, enjoy your vacation. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Spencer, good evening to you as well. Paleo Greenbird, what's your favorite quail recipe? I have 12 going into freezer camp tonight. I get asked this like every live broadcast. I should probably do another video on it soon. One of my favorites, I have a lot of favorite quail recipes, but one of my favorite ways to do it is cut the breast meat off the bone. So you end up with 2 halves of, quail breast, and then lay some blue cheese down in there, wrap them up with bacon, brush them with some Frank's Red Hot, and bake them until the bacon's done, or grill them, or whatever, however you want to do it. That's really good. Or you can do cheddar cheese, bacon, and barbecue sauce. There's a couple of different ways you could do that, but they're really good that way. That's one of my favorite ways to do it. I made enchiladas with them the other night, like you would fajitas. Fajitas the other night, like you would for chicken fajitas. That was really good. Basically used them like you would chicken in that. Poblano peppers, onions, grill those, saute those down a little bit, brown the quail, put it all in there with the seasonings, let it cook for just a little while in that, serve it in some warm tortillas. That was really good. So there's a couple of recipes that you can kind of go for. All right. Russell says Quail Con was great. I have eggs in the incubator right now. 15 days to hatch day. Awesome. Good luck with your hatch. I hope it goes well. I thought it was a great event as well. I'm sure we met. I'm trying to remember, trying to put faces to names because their faces are not in your little, not that it would help me much. Those little avatars are tiny. I can't hardly see them anyway. But I'm having a hard time. I remember everybody I met, but I'm having a hard time putting the face to the name to the YouTube handle here. So forgive me if I can't remember exactly who you were. I know I'd know you if I saw you again. There's a recipe suggestion from T-Disc Farmer. He says, set the grill below 300 degrees Fahrenheit, indirect heat, apple wood, just a smidgen, stuff with onion, basil, and whatever herbs you like. Keep wet with a mix of espresso and honey. There you go. There's a good one. Thanks for sharing that. Austin says, let's see, I'm having issues with my quail laying eggs consistently, but when they do lay, I collect for 4 to 5 days, then put them in the incubator, usually 20 to 25, and only having 2 hatch, then not live past 3 days. Why? Boy, there could be a number of different issues there. I'm guessing you probably got multiple things going on. My guess is that not laying consistently, well, let me back up. My guess is that you're having issues with both with fertility and them not laying consistently. It's all the same issue, and it's probably lack of light. So, we're getting into the fall, almost fall. The days are starting to get shorter. So unless you have some kind of external light on the hutch to bring the daylight hours up to 14 hours a day, your birds probably aren't going to lay consistently. And chances are your roosters aren't really breeding that well either, because all of that is determined by the amount of light that they get. 14 hours a day consistently is what they need in order to lay consistently, to breed consistently. So that's probably why you're getting low hatch rates. Now, that could be a combination of things with your low hatch rate and your birds not living past 3 days. It makes me wonder if you have a temperature issue with your incubator. So I would suggest checking that. That could be part of your low hatch rate issue as well. There's so many different things that can go into it. It's hard for me to pinpoint exactly what it is, but let's start with the easy things. So check your temperature in your incubator. Make sure that it is accurate. Get a couple of non-digital thermometers. Get 2 of them. Calibrate them. Make sure they're accurate first. If you don't know how to calibrate a thermometer, look up how to do that. It's not that hard. It's hard to explain. It's easy to see. You'll find a video that'll show you how to do it. It's pretty easy. Put them in your incubator with no eggs in it and run your incubator for a little while. And then verify that those 2 thermometers and your incubator thermostat, verify what temperatures they're reading. So if your thermostat on your incubator says it's 99 degrees, but both those thermometers say it's 97, your incubator is running a little bit too cool. You need to bump it up a couple of degrees to get it to 99. If one of the thermometers and the incubator read the same temperature and the other thermometer reads a different temperature, then it's probably that your incubator is right. And you may need, if you don't have a fan on there, you may need to install a fan to get the air moving around so you don't have hot spots and cool spots in your incubator. But chances are you don't need to worry about that too much. If those issues, if you verify that your incubator is running correctly, you got enough light on them, they'll start laying consistently. You hear the roosters crowing and they start breeding, you still have problems, then there's something else altogether. It could be a bacterial issue too. So make sure, I would say go back and watch my series on hatching eggs. One of the things that you can do when you store them and right before you put them in the incubator, spray them down with a mixture of Listerine and water. Just gold Listerine and water, half and half, and just mix the eggs down. Don't do it once they're in the incubator, but right before you put them in and as you're collecting them, spray them down a little bit. The other thing too is make sure you're storing them right. Don't store them in a temperature that's below 50 degrees. Try not to store them in a temperature that's above about 75 to 80 degrees. You want to store them in kind of that mid-range there. Somewhere around 55 to 60 degrees is about perfect. So those are several things that you can kind of work on to try to troubleshoot it. And then, come back next week, I guess. Well, it won't be next week. You probably won't know for a couple of weeks. But if you can't figure it out after that, let me know. We'll dive in and we'll see what else we can find out. But chances are you've got a fertility issue with your birds. And I'm guessing it's probably lack of light. I may be completely wrong. You may have lights on them, but you can tell me in the chat here if you do. All right. Paleo Greenbird. Let's see. I've heard a lot of people recommend the grill. The ones I have now are skin off, but I think I will harvest the next batch with skin on. Thanks for the recipe. Yeah, I agree. Thanks for the recipe. I have never tried to pluck a quail. I just can't imagine their skin is so thin. I can't imagine trying to get the feathers out without tearing the skin. But I may be wrong. I've never tried it, so who knows? Maybe it's not as hard as I thought. Titus says I do skin off as well. It's quicker and easier. Yeah, I do too. Jay Moore likes I like the skin on. I can see that. I like chicken skin on. Lori says I hatched tuxedo quail. Awesome. I do like the tuxedos. Haven't had any in a long time. Jay Moore says just like the skin on chicken. Yep. And let's see. T-Disc says skin on is good. It just takes a lot more time if you don't have a plucker. Always tip you butcher people. What? Always tip your butcher people. LOL. Yeah. Plucking. I mean, that's a lot of work for just a very little bit of meat. But who knows? Maybe it's not as hard as I thought. All right. Jennifer says, thank you for a video at Quail Con. We'll be there next year. Awesome. Look forward to meeting you. Bob, if you were financially independent, would you consider raising quail and rabbits and gardening on a larger scale before it starts to feel like work, along with hunting, fishing, and getting pigeons? Yeah, I probably would. If I was financially independent, yeah, I probably would. Why not? It is something that I do enjoy doing. Who knows? Who knows what I would do? Don't know if I'll ever be financially independent, so I don't think I'll ever have to worry about that. So T-Disc says, oh my gosh, the legs are delicious if you slow smoke them and candy them. So delicious. Yeah, the legs are pretty good. There's just not much to them. But yeah. Yep. Verna says that too. I separate the legs and treat them like chicken wings. I kind of do the same thing. When I process my quail, I usually just tear the skin open on the breast and then pop the breast out and then skin the legs out and keep the legs separate. That's how I do it. Paleo says, oh my gosh, those were way better recipes than I was expecting. Thanks. You're absolutely welcome. And from everybody here, I'm sure you're welcome from them too. All right, Austin, it's a new farm innovations forced air temp. Okay, there we go. We're talking about the issues you had with your hatching. Okay. It's a new farm innovation forced air temp, seems consistent. Humidity stays a little high, but I've heard that was okay. Could the age of the quail be an issue? They're around 2 years old. It could be. It's probably about time for you to get some new birds, but I've hatched out and still had pretty good hatch rates from birds that were 2 to 2.5 years old. Maybe not quite as good as younger birds, but pretty good. A lot better than what you're speaking to. Humidity being too high can definitely have an effect on your birds. You probably want to reduce it just a little bit. I don't know when you're saying it's a little high. If it's over 80%, that's probably too high. You want to bump it down probably in the 60, 65%, maybe to 70% range until they go into lockdown. Lockdown can bump up a little bit, 75% or so, but you really want to try to stay under 80% humidity. That can have an issue on your birds. That can drown, basically. Russell says, just put some oil on them and brown them on the grill. Yummy. Yeah, it is. Jay Moore says, animal control said quail were fine and don't worry unless complaints. LOL. With barking dogs and trashed yard and noise from a backyard mechanic, don't think a complaint from birds is in the garage. Don't think a complaint. Oh, yeah. I don't know. That kind of weird wording there at the end. I think I got the gist of what you're saying. Yeah, I don't think you have to worry too much about people complaining. My neighbor actually didn't realize I was raising quail for the longest time. And then he came out one day on his back fence while I was back there and said, what do you have in those? And I told him, I said, well, it's quail. And he came over and took a look at him. He says, for the longest time, I just thought it was songbirds. And then I saw you had cages back here. And I thought, no, he's got something in those cages. He didn't even realize that I had quail back there. He just thought it was songbirds singing. So he just ignored it. So that's a good thing about quail. They don't sound like a rooster, So now you get out to Zach's place and go in his barn, and that's a different story. But he's got hundreds of thousands of birds, so that's a little different. Nick says, hey, Chris, thanks for all the videos about quail. I find them extremely helpful. Well, you're absolutely welcome, and thank you for watching. And let's see, we got a little bit of conversation going on with each other. I'm going to skip that stuff. Verna says, next time I'll try plucking, Chris, and I'll let you know how it goes. No plucker here. Yeah, I don't have a plucker either. I never use a plucker for chickens either. I just pluck them by hand. Of course, I'm only doing like 20 or 25 at a time. And I only do them like once a year. I just can't justify the cost of like a $500 plucker for 25 chickens. Maybe I'll look and see if somebody's got one they will rent me for the weekend next year. I don't know. Austin says, I may have the incubator set too high. I thought it was supposed to be 99.5 to 100. Yeah, 99. Well, for a forced air incubator, 99.5 is about right. 100 is not terribly high, so that's probably not your main issue. Just again, it's good to verify it with a couple of thermometers. Just go ahead and pick them up. They're cheap. You can get them for $5 or $6 at Walmart or on Amazon. A couple of non-digital thermometers. And you're going to want them eventually anyway. So I would go ahead and test that out first. If nothing else, you get to knock that off your list. That's not the issue. And you can move on. Verna, I was talking to Terry. I'll let you guys talk. Jay Moore says, just time consuming to pluck. I can imagine, yeah. Gregory says, tried plucking quail on my chicken plucker and it shredded the skin. That's kind of what I think too. I can't imagine I just can't imagine it wouldn't. I don't know. Owen, I'm doing well. Thank you. Hopefully you are too. Jay Moore says, not a chicken plucker. Yeah, no, I know not a chicken plucker, but I'm just I can't justify a chicken plucker. I don't know where that came from. But yeah, I know you wouldn't use a chicken plucker on the quail. You would use a different plucker. How's our focus? It looks like it's focusing in the wrong place. Let's change that a little bit. No, that's not right either. There we go. Maybe that's right. Maybe it wasn't an issue. I probably just messed it up. Who knows? Terry says, killed my first quail today. How do you fix yours? Well, first of all, good job on getting that done. The first one's always the toughest. It's always a little bit of a trick. When you say, how do you fix yours? We just went through a ton of recipes up there. So you can kind of scroll back through the chat and see that a little bit up there. One of the ways that I did, if you didn't get to see it, one of the ways I like to cook my quail is cut the meat off the breast, stuff it with some blue cheese, wrap it with bacon, brush it with Frank's Red Hot, grill it off until the bacon is done, or same thing, but with cheddar cheese and bacon wrapped, and barbecue sauce works really well too. Those are a couple of my favorite ways to do it. There's a lot of different ways, and there were some good recipes back up there that you can kind of scroll back and look at. Jay Moore says, I use my fingers to pluck them. I'm assuming what you're talking about. I can't imagine doing it any other way, but who knows? Verna says, I love cooking my quail in a slow cooker. Cover the quail with condensed cream of mushroom soup and let them cook for 4 to 6 hours on low. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. That sounds pretty good too. Imagine that just shred. The only thing I would be worried about that is a slow cooker for 4 to 6 hours. It seems like it might be difficult to get the bones out, but I may be wrong about that. I haven't tried that. Paleo says, I dropped my humidity to 0 as low as possible, and it increased my hatch rate significantly. Yeah, here's the deal with humidity is that you really can't measure humidity really that accurately in an incubator without doing a relative humidity. That's really what you need to know. So you can look up, if you want to know how to do that, look up wet, dry bulb in an incubator or something like that, and it'll give you the instructions on how to do that. But that, just the hydrometer on the incubator, it's not incredibly accurate. So if your windows are fogging up, you've got plenty of humidity in there. You don't need to worry about adding any more water. In the summertime here, our humidity outside is like 75, 80% almost all the time or higher. So I don't even put water in my incubator in the summertime. Now in the wintertime, it's dry. So I do have to add water and get the humidity in there a little bit. It's hard to keep water in there. But in the summer, I don't have to add any water at all, and I get good hatch rates. S. McKee says, just got here, sat down to quail dinner and saw you were live, baked my quail in my air fryer with tempura batter. Really good. Hey, sounds like a good way to do it for sure. Verna says, I'm going to save my feathers when I pluck them. Yep, I don't. And looks the same. The focus does. Okay, well, maybe it was just me. I just happened to look up at the camera. I've got the screen on the camera, and it showed the focus was like over here somewhere. And I was like, that doesn't look like it's focusing in the right place. So I just changed it a little bit to make sure it was. All right, PJ says, thanks to you and your channel. I just got my quail this morning and have been breeding rabbits for a year now. Been watching for 3 years now. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sticking around with me for the last 3 years. I really appreciate you watching the videos. And congratulations on your success with raising your rabbits, getting your quail, all those kinds of things. I'm glad to hear it's going well. Hey, Bishoy, good to see you. Let's see. Crafted Branch says, really glad I joined. Great info here. Well, thank you. I'm glad you joined too. Jay Moore says, I can make cat toys with pin feathers. Yeah, there's an interesting idea. There may be a market for that. Paleo says, I've seen some of your videos on plucking quail, and it seems, oh, not my videos, some videos on plucking quail, and it seems a 15 to 20-second dunk, and they wipe right off, but I never tried it. I may have to give it a try at some point. I don't know. Good evening to you, Valkson. Katrina, good to see you. Oh, wait, you're not talking to me. I think I already said hi to you, didn't I? Oh, well, hello again. Bashoy says, can I breed rabbits that are from the same father, different mothers? I think you might have left a comment on a video yesterday or today, and I just haven't got a chance to respond to it yet. You really want to stay away from any kind of sibling breeding. It's not that big of a deal when you're talking about, same father, different mother, but you don't want to use them for breeders in your future breeding program. If you're just breeding them for meat, it's okay. To me personally, I don't like to do it at all. I mean, it's okay to breed, and this is weird, but it's okay to breed your baby rabbits back to their father or back to their mother, but you really want to stay away from breeding siblings. You're going to introduce, over time anyway, maybe not the first generation, but it will introduce some negative consequences into your rabbits if you do that. All right, Manuel says, do you call really aggressively hens and males, and do you breed for temperament? I don't call really aggressive. Oh, wait. You're not asking if I call aggressively. You're asking if I call aggressive hens and males. Yeah, I do. If they're overly aggressive, I call them. And I for two reasons. One is I don't want them beating up all my birds. And the other one is I don't want that bred into my future quail. So, yes, I do call for aggressiveness and bad attitudes and bad temperament. And that is kind of part of breeding for temperament. Now, it's not, I mean, I don't call super hard, but yeah, if I got a bird that's really a jerk and keeps that up for a couple of days, they're out of there. All right. Danian says, do you have a video on incubating? Yeah, I've got a whole series. If you go back, it's several years old. I probably need to redo it. But if you go back to my channel page on YouTube, you'll see playlists. And one of them is hatching. I can't remember what it's called. Let me look it up real quick and I'll just tell you, or maybe I'll send you a link to it real quick here. Give me a second. Let's see. It is storing and hatching eggs. There's 5 videos in there that go through all about how do I get the link to the actual playlist. Can't figure out how to get the link to the playlist. I don't know if this will work or not. We'll try it. Okay, there you go. There's a link to the playlist, I think. You can try and see. All right. But yeah, I go through, one video goes through like how do you store them properly, all those kinds of things. And I've got a couple of videos on actually incubating them. All right. Jasmine says, hello from Southwest Missouri, or hello, fellow Southwest Missouri quail fanatic here. Sad I am late. Loved your Quail Con recap videos. Thank you so much, Jasmine. I appreciate that. And I know we probably talked before about that, but I'm not sure what part of Southwest Missouri you're in. But if you're in Southwest Missouri, we're pretty much neighbors. So thanks for stopping by, whether you're late or not. It doesn't matter because, like I always say, we don't keep attendance here. And I don't know if, I don't know if they're in here, Whiskey Tango Farms. But yeah, they picked on me yesterday. I was on their live broadcast and I joined late and said, I'm sorry I'm late. And they got me with that. So, well, we don't take attendance. So it's kind of funny. You had to be there, I guess. All right, Gary says, dropped in to say hello. Bet the Quail Con was good. Enjoyed the tour, Chris. Well, thank you so much, Gary B. I appreciate that. And thanks for stopping by. Alex says, hi, please, can you give me some advice? I have 19 quails, that 12 female and 7 males that are now 7 weeks old. I know the ratio is off. How long do I have before I have to remove the unneeded males? They're 7 weeks old, probably now, anytime, in the next couple of weeks. I mean, it's not super urgent. But what's going to happen is that your males typically become sexually mature before your females do. So they'll start crowing and start wanting to breed before your hens really start laying eggs. And at 7 weeks old, they're right on the verge, if they haven't already started, with 7 males for 12 females. That's almost a 1-to-2 ratio. You're going to end up with birds that are just completely scalped if you don't go ahead and separate out the extra males. But you can give it a week or two. It's not that super urgent. You should be fine. All right, Junie says, hello, Chris. It was great to meet you. It was great to meet you, too. Thank you for stopping me and saying hello, and thanks for joining the broadcast. Tom, enjoyed meeting you at Quail Con, and I enjoyed meeting you, too, Tom. Thanks for stopping me and saying hello, and all of you guys that I met there. It was great to meet everybody. Great to sit down and just chat with you guys for a few minutes, and I always appreciate it. You guys came up to me and said hello, because I don't have any idea who you are when I'm there, just from seeing you. I don't know, because I don't get to see you guys. I just see your names on YouTube. So you're going to have to stop me if you ever see me out in public and say hello. I always enjoy it. Grafted Branch Homestead says, do you need to worry about quail inbreeding? It's not a huge issue. It's not something I worry about too much. It is something probably every 5 or 6 generations, you need to add in maybe a little bit new blood, but all you need to do is get a couple of new roosters, and that's it. That's all the new blood you need. Get rid of your old roosters, replace them with some new roosters from a different flock somewhere else, and you're fixed. You're good for another 5 or 6 generations, something like that. Excuse me. Where was I going with that? What was I going to say? I don't really keep track of it that close, but I usually change out every couple of years. So every 2.5 years, maybe 3, something like that. I'll get some new eggs in and incubate them out, and then mix those in with my existing birds. And it's not really a big issue. You don't have to really stress about it. Jasmine says, when do you plan on starting rabbit breeding back up? Our temps are pretty much the same, as we're only an hour apart. Still so dang warm outside. Don't want to heat stress the mamas. Yeah, usually around the 1st of October, late September, somewhere right around in there, I'll go ahead and start my breeding back up. So you should be good anytime in the next couple of weeks. Here's the thing. I mean, it's pretty warm out still, but it's not going to be in a month. So, that's it. I try to catch that to where, maybe she's pregnant in the middle of October, something like that. That's going to be cooling off quite a bit. And we're already, we had, I think it was 62 degrees last night or night before. It was almost chilly this morning when I went outside at about 5 o'clock this morning. So it's cooling off at night quite a bit, and that makes a significant difference. So you could really breed her about any time you want. I'd give her another maybe 2 weeks or so, and then go ahead and start breeding if you want to get on it quick. All right. Daniel says, thank you. I'm not sure if you're talking to me or not, but you're welcome either way. All right. A bunch of people talking to each other. I'll skip all that. Hello to you, Del Choo-Choo. Verna says, hatching is what is addicting. Watching them double in size daily for the first couple of weeks. Yeah, it can be for sure. Manuel says, yes, the brown Quaternix and the white Texas A&M are both hatched together, and now the brown Quaternix only attack the white ones, and I have the correct ratio of males and females. That's a tough one. It just sounds like you kind of got some aggressive birds for whatever reason. I can't remember now what we said about how old they are. So if they're just coming of age, it just may be like the hormones, and give them a week or 2 and see if they calm down. If it's not too bad. If they're going for the face and pecking out the eyes, it's probably just 1 or 2 birds that are doing that. Identify them, get them out of your flock. But if it's just, a little bit of quarreling or whatever, they'll usually get over that pretty quick. And then sometimes when they're first coming of age, it's like, think of them as like teenagers. Especially the roosters. Anyway, you can kind of make what I'm going with that, I think. Canary says, question, I have my male quail, where did it go? My male quail died and with a head wound, feathers plucked, had 5 females with him that were all laying. I don't know why they picked on him. Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know why either. It's probably just one of the hens got fed up with him for whatever reason and just beat the tar out of him. I find a lot of times my most aggressive birds are the hens. If you can identify which bird it is that's doing it, you can remove her from the flock so you don't have to deal with it again. It's hard for me to know exactly what caused it, though. I wish I could give you a better answer. It's just there's too many I don't know. There's too many variables. But yeah, you're saying feathers plucked from his head. I'm assuming like around his face, around his eyes, or like that. That definitely sounds like a hen pecking at his face and aggressiveness. S. McKee says, I tried plucking a quail by dunking it in boiling water for 15 seconds, and the skin came off as I plucked. Not a good outcome as they also started to cook. Yeah, you don't want boiling water. You want it like 100 and I don't know, 160 degrees somewhere. I don't, is it 160? I always have to look up what the temperature you want, but you don't want it boiling. You just want it hot. Paleo says, I live in Maine in an area that has lots of geese. I have 2 birds escape and I found them the next day. How long should I isolate them to make sure that they're not at risk of spreading H1N1? I mean, is there a big risk of H1N1 in your area? Is there a reason you're overly concerned by it? Because if there isn't, I don't know that it's a big issue at all, and I don't know that I'd worry about it. But if you want to quarantine them just to make sure, it's interesting. At Quail Con, we had a good discussion from, and I can't ever remember his name, but he's with the, he's the guy that runs doesn't run it, but he's heavily involved with the MPIP program in Ohio. And he gave a great speech on it. And one of the things that he suggested was to quarantine for 10 days, I think he said, but quarantine with a sacrificial lamb. So what he suggests is you always find a bird that, if it did pass away, it wouldn't be the end of the world. Put that together with the other birds, like when you're bringing new birds in or anything like that. And that way, if this bird, the other bird may be a carrier, even though it's not sick, it may be a carrier of something. And if you have another bird with it, that bird gets sick and dies, then you know that bird's not safe that you brought in, if that makes sense. I don't know, you need to go to that extent. You might just want to give them, a week, it's about 10 days or so of quarantine, and then you're probably fine. Gary says, hey, Chris, I'm a newbie, first time chat. I got 10 quail on the 17th, only 1 laying so far. Any suggestions? Probably need to add light. Let's say, wait a minute. You got them on the 17th of May or of August. So it's been a while. It's been about a month. Assuming that they're only 1 laying so far. It's probably not only 1 bird laying so far. It's probably all of them laying really inconsistently. It's that time of year. I don't know exactly where you live, but assuming you live in the United States, days are getting shorter. And let's see, I think, what time is it now? It's 7:45 here, and it's been dark for a little while, probably the last 20, 30 minutes. So let's say 7:30. The sun doesn't come up till about almost 7 o'clock. I mean, it's like real close to 7 o'clock in the morning. So that's like 12 and a half hours of daylight. They need 14 hours a day in order to lay consistently. So if you have an external light you can put on there, it doesn't have to be super bright. I've heard of people using Christmas lights. Whatever. Just put a light out there, put it on them, make sure you either turn it on a couple hours early in the morning or leave it on a couple hours in the evening after the sun goes down. Give them about a week or 2 of that. They'll start laying a little bit more consistently at that point. So, the other thing that causes quail, I'm a little hoarse for some reason, probably from having to scream to make sure I'm loud enough for the microphone. Another thing that causes quail to stop laying or not lay is stress factors. So when you buy brand new birds and you bring them home, it's really common for them to lay an egg or 2, like maybe on the way home or the next day, and then shut down and stop laying because they already had that egg in their cycle working its way through. But the stress of the move will get them to stop laying eggs. So if you're moving your birds around a lot, moving them from one cage to another or whatever, that can prevent them from laying eggs as well. But I'm almost betting it's a light problem probably. Yeah, Jay Moore's got it right. I'd said 160 degrees and then I second guessed myself, but Jay Moore's got it in there. Boiling water's too hot, about 160 to 170. Yep, I agree. Tom says, question, I noticed that one of your does seems a bit lethargic. She's not one of your does, not my does. One of our does seems a bit lethargic. She's not eating as much as she used to. Should we wait and see if the cooler weather will perk her up? Probably. My doe does that all the time. She just kind of quits eating for a day or 2 or doesn't eat nearly as much for a couple of days, especially in the heat of summer. And then she'll pick back up and eat again. If that's the only thing, you said she's a little bit lethargic. I don't know. I mean, lethargic is a bad sign for sure. So I think that if it was me, I would definitely quarantine her, get her away from the rest of your rabbits just in case. But, make sure you're not mistaking lethargic with just, overheating, being hot. My doe doesn't move around a lot in the heat of summer. She just lays there, but she's not necessarily lethargic. I mean, her eyes are bright. She's got her head up, she's drinking water still, moving around a little bit every once in a while, but she doesn't do much. She just lays there all spread out on the wire trying to stay cool. So if it is lethargic, you can usually look at their eyes and kind of tell. They'll just kind of have that dull, kind of droopy look to their eyes. Then I would definitely quarantine her. But if it's not that, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Give her a little bit of time, see how she's doing. right. PJ says, did you ever get another meat chicken run in? I didn't do. I got tied up. I mean, work's been busy on all kinds of things going on. So we didn't get another meat chicken run done. I wanted to do one, but we probably don't need it. We've got quite a bit of chicken in the cooler or in the freezer. Jasmine says, what color variations this time, Verna? And Verna says pansy fees. So I missed some of that probably because you guys were tagging each other. So I typically just skip those so I can get to other people. And Verna's are from my shire, of course. Why wouldn't they be? PJ says, how many quail eggs per chicken eggs do you do? For chickens, it's 145 degrees for plucking. Okay. I always do 150, I think it is, 160. And it works. Anyway, how many quail eggs per chicken egg? About 4 to 5, somewhere right around in there. It's not an exact, but that's pretty close. All right, how are we doing on time? About 10 minutes early, guys. I'm going to have to get this one ended. I got to go pack up, and there's a lot of chats coming in. I wish I could hang out and chat with you guys more, but I got to leave out early in the morning, so I got to get things packed up and get ready to go. Hopefully you understand. Forgive me if I did not get to your chat tonight. Thanks for joining me tonight. Thanks for hanging out with me for just a little bit, but I'm going to have to wrap this one up. So anyway, thanks again, guys, for all of you that I met at Quail Con for coming up and saying hi to me. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Had a great time. Met a lot of great people. Didn't meet anybody that wasn't great. It was just a fantastic event all the way around. I think Zach said it best when he just said it felt like a community coming together, not like strangers, not like just people coming to an event. It was really like a community. And we really had a good time. So I'm looking forward to it next year. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this one up. Quit babbling on. Thanks for joining me tonight. As always, God bless. And we'll see you again in 2 weeks. I probably will not be on next week and probably won't have any videos out next week. So bear with me. We'll be back week after next. Take care. Good night.